What's up, guys? This is ThatAlbumReviewerGuy here, and I'm reviewing the new album from 3 Days Grace, and it's called Human. This is their 5th album, and it's their first album that features, I don't know if he's the former vocalist or still is the vocalist of My Darkest Days, Matt Walst, brother of bassist Brad Walst, on vocals. The band continues the trend of releasing a new album every 3 years. Of course, the self-titled being released in 2003, 1X 2006, Life Starts Now in 2009, Transit to Venus in 2012, and here we are in 2015 with Human. Now, I'm a huge fan of 3 Days Grace. I enjoyed their first 3 albums, but I didn't really like Transit to Venus all that much. It grew on me a little bit, but to be honest, I'm still not too keen on that album. But coming into this album, I was really excited. After all, this is their first album with Matt on vocals, so I was very interested to see how the band would sound with a new singer. Of course, Adam, the original voice of 3 Days Grace, fantastic vocalist he was, but, he had to leave the band, and he did. They replaced him with Matt Walst of My Darkest Days. My Darkest Days is not a terrible band, by the way. I like some of their stuff. I know their song Porn Star Dancing gets some hate, but I kind of like it. It's a pretty decent song. But, after hearing the first 2 singles off the album, Painkiller and I Am Machine, I was very pleased with how they sounded. Both of those singles had a lot of energy and so much to offer. And Matt sounded very well on those singles, by the way. However, I must say I was disappointed when I heard the third single from this album, Human Race. If you want to see my track review of that song, click on the link in the description. I will say, though, after hearing that song, I was anticipating this album even more, because I was hoping it would be more like the first 2 singles and less like the third. And there are songs that I do enjoy almost as much, if not just as much, as I enjoy those first 2 singles, like Fallen Angel, for example. I enjoy the lyrical content, and I really enjoy the vocals and the bridge of this song, and this is definitely up there on my favorites list. And Tell Me Why is another good song on the album, not to mention the acoustic parts of this song remind me of Never Too Late. And that's a song that holds a special place in my heart because, well, it's actually the song that introduced me to 3 Days Grace. Probably my favorite 3 Days Grace song of all time. I like the similarity to that song in Tell Me Why, but it has its own unique qualities that make it a great song as well. While I do enjoy a fair portion of this album, there are songs I dislike besides Human Race. One in particular is Car Crash, and, well, this song compares a girl to a car crash, and, well, it just has the same problem as Human Race. It's so repetitive and irritating, and this problem is repeated again in one too many. Seems like 3 Days Grace was running out of ideas, to be honest, considering the fact that quite a few of the songs in this album were just repetitive. And to be honest, I do like some repetitive songs, but the way that they did these ones, it just got old real fast. And I just couldn't get into them. There are some songs in this album though that are decent, but I wouldn't call them my favorites, such as Nothing's Fair in Love and War, and The Real You, and songs like Landmine and The End Is Not the Answer are okay, but I really don't see myself listening to those again, to be honest. And another thing, it definitely feels like as though this album, the second half of this album anyway, lacks a little bit compared to the first half. The first half has a lot of energy, with songs like Painkiller, Fallen Angel, I Am Machine, and then you get into second half with songs like So What, which is meh, and Car Crash. Album ends on an okay note with The Real You. It's nothing too special, it's not too bad, but it's not engaging. That's the main problem. It's not as engaging as I would like it to be. The first 3 Days Grace albums were so good, they were so engaging, they really didn't have a dull moment. And then Transit of Venus came out, and that kind of ruined the flow, if you ask me. And then this album comes along, and it continues that pattern that 3 Days Grace had in Transit of Venus, where it ruined the flow of what they usually had. Transit of Venus did have some good songs on it, and this album does too, but compared to the first 3 albums, it's a little bit of a bummer, to be honest. Favorites on this album: Painkiller, Fallen Angel, Tell Me Why, and I Am Machine. Least favorites: Human Race, Car Crash, and One Too Many. Overall, the album gets a 6 out of 10. I really was looking forward to this album, and I'm a little disappointed. Now, to be fair, this is a new singer. He's getting used to the band. You know, making new material, because he's been with the band since 2013 when Adam left. But they didn't release any new material till last year when they released the first 2 singles off this album. And they're releasing their first album with Matt this year. Hopefully, if Matt's still the singer, in 3 years when they're probably going to release a new album, then hopefully it'll be a much better album. Maybe a bit more reminiscent of albums like 1X or It's Self-Titled or Life Starts Now. Maybe. Only time will tell. What do you guys think of this album? What do you think of Matt Walst as vocalist of 3 Days Grace? And is there any hope for the band getting somewhere back up to where they were at one point? Let me know. My social media stuff is down there. Check that out. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you on the next review. That album reviewer guy signing off.